Ladies and gentlemen, pay attention. This is your boy, the coach, from the WWE. I would like to welcome you to the very first wrestling podcast in the world to take you on a weekly deep dive into classic matches along with legends of the squared circle. Enjoy the discussion. Enjoy the back and forth. There's so much to get into. Ladies and gentlemen, this is The Payoff.
Jeff, I've got some bad news for you.
Uh-oh.
I don't want to do this podcast anymore.
How come?
I quit.
Oh, man. I can't believe it was that easy to get you to say it. All right. We'll see you again on a new edition of... No, I'm kidding.
This is a very highly rated match.
Yeah, this was on the list of 5 stars, man. Spoiler. Like, kind of crazy to think that. But, yeah, this is an exciting one.
I mean, and I've heard Flair talk about this before, but, you hear all the Steamboat stuff. And, I mean, this... I've got high expectations. I'm just hoping it's not a letdown, but 5-star I quit match, it should be pretty damn good.
Yeah, I feel like even I associate Terry Funk with so much of like that late career, if you will, like WWE, like it just was not anywhere close to his heyday. And so to be able to go back and watch this one, like late 80s, when he was really in his prime doing work with Flair, I'm with you. It's, the grain of salt 5 stars. We're going to see if it lives up to it or not. But I am excited to see both these guys really in their kind of heyday.
Well, let's get right into it. It's time for the build.
Oh, it's time for the build.
Of course, we're in Troy, New York. Where else would we be for this event?
Hotspot for wrestling.
That was kind of odd. I was like, oh, okay. You think usually when it's a WCW event, we're going to be in, Alabama or in Greensboro. But no, we're in Troy, New York, and obviously we're at the famed Houston Fieldhouse.
Yep.
It holds 4,000 people. So this is back in 1989, November 15th, right before Thanksgiving. And, Jeff, one of the things I thought was interesting, I didn't realize how many Clash of the Champions there were.
A ton.
Yeah. One of these things. Like, I would have guessed there were, I don't know, 10 of them, 15 of them total, but there were way more, especially back in this era. So they did these a lot. Kind of an interesting card. I mean, a lot of good names on here. We start out a 5-minute tag team match, the Fabulous Freebirds defeating the Road Warriors by DQ. Then we get Doom 1 and Doom 2 accompanied by Woman, defeating Eddie Gilbert and Tommy Rich in another 5-minute match. The Midnight Express, Eaton and Lane, accompanied by Jim Cornette, defeating the Dynamic Dudes, Shane Douglas and Johnny Ace in 9 minutes. I feel like we're never going to hear from John Laurinaitis ever again.
Ever. Yep. See you later.
I don't know what happened. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
Look, obviously there was some impropriety happening, but at the same time, it's like, man, you feel for, I mean, obviously, ironically, it's the Bella's mother, but it's like, you just feel for this stuff being aired publicly. Perhaps she already knew, perhaps this is how she found out, but you're, I don't know, late 50s, 60 years old. You think you have someone you want to spend the rest of your life with, and then this comes out, or you just feel for the people. Again, I know sometimes people like to make all this stuff black and white, good and evil, but it's like people are hurting, right? A lot of people.
Yep.
Who was involved, who was not involved, everything, right? Steve Williams defeated the Super Destroyer in a minute. The Steiner brothers defeated the Skyscrapers. That's Sid Vicious and Dan Spivey by DQ.
Great name for a tag team.
I'm sorry?
Great name for a tag team.
Oh, so
the Skyscrapers. Yeah.
I never realized how big Dan Spivey was. Yeah, that's like Waylon Mercy. He's just a big ass.
Mm-hmm.
Not of the same size as like Undertaker, Sid. Like those guys were all pretty big dudes.
He's billed at 6'7".
Yeah, I just didn't realize he was such a big guy.
Yep.
Lex Luger's your NWA US heavyweight champion. He's going to retain against Brian Pillman in 12 minutes. And then the reason we're here, the main event, Flair, Funk, I Quit match. Very excited to cover this. There were 3 matches on the show outside the main event that were well received. The Midnight Express match, the Steiner brother match, and then the Lex Luger match, surprisingly. So, yeah, interesting show, man. Just a lot of talent on here. I mean, you start going through the Hall of Famers and, the Freebirds and the Road Warriors and Paul Ellering. I mean, Jim Cornette, Midnight Express.
Mm-hmm.
Steve Williams, Sid, Luger, Pillman, Flair, Funk. I mean, stacked card, dude. I've never seen this match before. I have no idea how they got to this match. So I'm very curious because an I Quit match, we didn't see a lot of those back in the day. So you tell me how we got to this match and why we should care, because Jeff, I bet you this wasn't just some dream match that was thrown together.
No, and I'm with you. And we'll talk a little bit more just about I Quit matches in general, like during the match in this one. Because before we scheduled this one, or we scheduled this one before the most recent kind of Edge Finn Balor match and kind of how that played out. And so we'll talk a little bit more about that during the match and stuff like that. Do want to remind everybody, of course, our great sponsors on the show. We're going to start off, of course, with the classic Manscaped. Make sure you're checking out everything they got on their website. I know you were excited. They got the new body scrubber. Sent me the picture of that stuff. You wasted no time as soon as they put that on the website, kind of ordering it. And so we want to remind everybody using our payoff code for manscaped.com. It's payoff20, payoff20. You get 20% off, free shipping, especially with the holidays coming up. It's a great gift for anyone. Even if you're, you just need a gift for one of your buddies or something, like it doesn't matter. Like they're all great products. Everything from, the lawnmower to the weed whacker, like you name it, they've got some of the best stuff out there. And even just, it doesn't have to be, that kind of grooming, shavers, trimmers, all that stuff. Tom, you got the body wash, like I said, he just ordered the scrubber, stuff like that. I hate having that poof in the shower. And so it's great that they came up with an alternative to the poof, because even like the poof gets kind of gross and it kind of sits. Yeah. So anyway, so they got something that a lot better, so check out their store. Make sure you're ordering everything using our promo code payoff20, payoff20 at manscaped.com. So,
and Jeff, a quick update. I bought the loofah.
Yes. Yeah.
Really good. Really interesting. The problem with these loofahs is they just kind of break down. They get all dirty and you got to throw them away and they never really feel clean. This thing's like almost like a rubber mallet, and you put it around your fingers and it's just a lot sturdier and it cleans right off. It's like a real like hardcore plastic. So I'm a fan. I like it. It's cheap, and pay off 20 for the discount. So check that out if you feel like that might be something valuable to add to your shower regimen.
Absolutely. So get in this one. There's a lot of players in this one, so we're going to talk a little bit about some other people as well too, as I'm going through the build on this one. So, some different names. You're like, why is Jeff talking about that? Well, it'll come into play in the aftermath here. So we're going to start. Actually, we're going to go to March 1988. So, quite a bit before this one. Actually, you had Sting and Flair. Actually, had a 45-minute time limit draw match. It was at the first ever Clash of Champions. It was a 4 3/4 star match. After that, and so that's important. They had that match. They were feuding and kind of had that going. jump almost a year later to February 1989. You had the Chi-Town Rumble in Chicago, of course. You had Steamboat pinning Flair to win the NWA World Heavyweight Championship. And so this is where you had a bunch of different rematches between Flair and Steamboat. Kind of opposite ends of the spectrum here. You had Steamboat as the straight shooter, the family man. You had Ric Flair, the ladies man. Of course, their best of 3 falls match. That one just shy of the 60-minute time limit. That was Clash of Champions 6. That was Ragin' Cajun. These got fun names too, like some of those early In Your Houses as well too. And so you had the Ragin' Cajun on that one. That was April 2nd, 1989. And then you had a Wrestle War match between these guys as well too in May of 1989. It's actually voted the match of the year by PWI between Steamboat and Flair. So that was kind of, what Flair was doing, all these different things. So Funk, had been around all kinds of doing different things, but then he actually joined and signed with WCW Wrestling in 1989. He became, of course, part of the JTEX Corporation. And so he began feuding with Flair after this Wrestle War match for the NWA World Heavyweight Championship. And so how this played out was Funk was actually one of the judges for that. He ended up challenging Flair to a match. Flair refused, of course. Then you get them brawling. And then you get putting him out. It was actually Great American Bash where they did have a match, Funk and Flair winning that one, but then you had him getting attacked by members of the JTEX Corporation. Actually Gary Hart and Great Muta, Sting actually coming out to aid Flair on that one. So kind of funny nowadays where you got the retirement where Sting and Great Muta are going to be, or Sting is going to be a part of Great Muta's retirement we saw in AEW. So you've got these guys, this goes back their connection, and I don't even think I realized it when they were talking. It's like always Stings with Great Muta, like, okay, whatever, big deal. Their connection goes way back to this late 80s, which is incredible. And so, but with Sting making the save for Flair, while you had Funk and Flair continuing their feud, you also had the stables feuding as well too. So this was a newer iteration of the Four Horsemen, where you had Flair, Arn, Ole, and Sting all going against the JTEX, which would have been Gary Hart, who was the manager. You had Terry Funk, Dick Slater, Great Muta, Dragon Master, Buzz Sawyer, just a bunch of different people. And so, and this was actually, like I said, the reformed Horsemen, where Sting was now a part of it. And so, and really to, end the rivalry between between Flair and Funk, they decided, okay, let's have this I Quit match. This was not very common. They had happened a little bit before this. And so, but the first one being, of course, the famous match that we have talked about before, had him on our show, Magnum TA taking on Tully Blanchard as well, too. And so that's one we just reposted that one a couple weeks ago for the archives. And so make sure to go back, listen to that one. It was a great match. It was great having Magnum on the show with us as well, too. And so, interesting how it played out, but that was, not a whole lot happening. Funk had really just got to come on. You've got which were on the front end of that before anything was really happening. And then we get an I Quit match, and that's it.
Easy enough, man.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm pumped to cover this one.
Yeah, I was excited. I picked this one because of, just the high ratings it was, but also like I had never seen this match. And so I've heard of it. I know that it exists, but and even reading the review, I have not watched any of this, and I know you haven't either.
Good. Well, let's get into it. We're at the 1 hour, 26 minute mark of Clash of the Champions 9, 1 hour, 26 minute mark. Jeff, are you ready?
Let's do this, man.
All right. It's time for the payoff.
Oh, it's time for the payoff.
Frank's got the microphone.
Well, Flair, he might as well save his breath because Flair's not going to walk away from this or any other fight.
just that so many people associate him with Mick Foley, and this is just not that.
ECW, I mean, he's wearing a T-shirt. Like, again, I've never seen a Terry Funk match. Shit, I'll be honest with you, I've never seen a Terry Funk match before ECW. So I've just never seen Terry Funk, quote unquote, in his prime. I mean, dude, he's just like, I mean, yeah, he's just jacked. I mean, like
both these guys look good. Yep.
Yeah, he looks great. So he's on the outside. So I Quit match.
Yeah. So I'm curious about this. So there's been a lot over the years. Of course, we talked about Magnum TA and Tully Blanchard on this one. You had the 1999 Royal Rumble, Mick Foley and The Rock match. I
forgot. It's funny. I'm thinking Bret Hart Stone Cold. That was a submission match, not an I Quit match.
Yeah, there was a few. They've kind of just been all over. We've, of course, had some in ECW. They had a few in Lucha, Ring of Honor. Like, they've been all over. TNA actually did a lot of them with AJ Styles as well too. Having this one as well too. David Flair actually had a couple matches with Terry Funk as well too. Some I had forgotten about in the late '90s. You had Goldberg and Sid Vicious had one actually. Just all kinds. Of course, Bret Hart and Bob Backlund having one at WrestleMania 11. So there's been a lot, actually a shocking amount of these over the years, but I'm curious your thought. Is this a good stipulation and match? Like, does it work? I guess this most recent one, did it work? Do you think it works nowadays in 2022? Yeah.
So they had a clever way to end the latest one.
Yes.
I like that. I actually thought that was like really good. And then they still hit her anyways. And, we're building to whatever we're building to, but I like that. So, I've never been a fan. I don't like the microphone, like the just the scene of like, the microphone in someone's face and they have to say I quit, and then they go and then they screw you, and I don't know, I don't like that. I think like the Mick Foley Rock one of I quit, I thought that was really cleverly done. So like that was really smart because it continued the feud and it got to a last man standing match. But my thought is of the spectrum of, gimmick matches, the I Quit one's not high for me. I don't know. I find it a little hokey. I mean, last man standing to me, like the 10 count, that's more interesting. Just a standard no holds barred match, no rules, extreme rules. I like that because it can kind of lead to a lot of different things. Hell in the Cell, Elimination Chamber, you have the structure to play off of. So I'm not a fan of the I Quit concept.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I think how they did it on this most recent one made sense. We're going to get some kind of intergender match, I'm sure. And that storytelling made sense. Now, watching this match right now, they have not put a microphone in anybody's face yet. Like, I felt like it really takes you out of it. Like, I get that they're trying to build the story, but also like, I just like, while it was a good match and, as soon as you said I quit, we all knew that she was still going to get hit with the chair. Like, that was kind of obvious once she showed up and it was happening. But I think that I think it's a very tough needle to thread in telling a story in the ring that, like you said, it doesn't end in the person passing out. It doesn't end. And I almost felt like when I was watching that match, like wrestling has trained me so much that we've had like, there is like the 10 count. There is all these things where like a wrestler passing out, unless it's it's from a submission hold, like that's what I'm trained to watch and see. Like, but to get to this point where, okay, I have to say I quit, like, it was a tough sell for me. And so it wasn't a good match. And yes. And did they tell the story? Yes, absolutely. So I will give them credit for that. But I just feel like, it's really tough. Now, these two guys, they are just wrestling right now. We have yet to see anyone with a microphone in their face.
It is a pair six brawl.
And they have been nonstop since the start here. Yep.
you've heard me say it before, but man, the production quality of here you go.
Flair, do you say it?
Bob trying to make Flair.
Yes, see, that's what I don't like. He's punching him in the head. Obviously, he's not going to quit right now. So they do. Right. Well, no, and then they're talking, and it's like, all right, we're going to interrupt this, supposed physical confrontation, and he's holding a microphone right now. So, not a fan of that at all.
This is too. I want to for the viewers. This is a corded microphone.
Kevin Dunn, if he saw a cameraman standing on the apron in blue.
Oh my God! Yeah,
in
blue jeans.
Jeans tucked into his socks.
A sign of the times too. I appreciate the corded microphone too. I don't know why you didn't choke him with the microphone. That just seemed to make sense. Maybe we'll see it later. But so now the microphone's gone. Now they're just wrestling again. And so which I feel like that kind of. For me, that keeps me a little bit better connected to the presentation of what's going on and stuff like that. So, yeah. So these guys, it's just Funk is just
Flair must be colorblind. He's got these mint green and red boots, and then he's got the sky blue, Carolina blue tights. Oh, it just looks terrible.
Funk is selling great too, kind of falling through the ropes after some chops, just kind of falling over all over the place. It's a great job. Yeah. Yeah. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe his luggage got lost somewhere. Maybe who knows what's going on. Yeah. He just had to borrow someone's stuff. Who knows? So they're kind of working on the outside. They've been nonstop. There's not been a rest hold or anything like that. Funk doing a great job of selling. I guess I never watching this, and maybe, it's, I don't remember Funk he's selling on Flair levels. This is incredible to kind of see him, what he's doing.
Funk's acting in this match like you'd expect Flair to act. It's a good point.
Right. Exactly. Yep. Which is great to see, but yeah. So still working on the outside here.
Pretty small venue.
Yeah. 4,000 people. Who would have thought
some empty seats too.
Well, and this is, this Clash of Champions, having this type of match, it is a small venue, like you said. It's very much feels like house show. That's what it was, even though it was, it's got that Clash of Champions branding on it. And so I was curious too, just to see, there was almost 35 of these. The last one taking place in WCW, it was Clash of Champions 35 on August 21st, 1997. The main event. So this is the main event, originally announced as a standard tag match, but was changed to a match for Hall and Kevin Nash's tag team titles before it began, with Randy Savage subbing for Nash under the Freebird rule. So you had Scott Hall and Randy Savage defeating DDP and Lex Luger for the WCW World Tag Team Champions, retaining their titles. And so interesting little card there.
Top 7 Clash of the Champions matches ever. Sting at the first Clash.
Okay. Yep.
Flair and Steamboat at the 6th Clash.
Okay.
Steamboat Funk at Clash 7, which was June of 89.
Yep.
This match, Arn Anderson and Larry Sabisco versus Dustin Rhodes and Ricky Steamboat. Tag team champion match.
From which one?
17, November of
17. Okay, yep, a little bit later.
Rick Rude at Clash 21, which was November of 92.
Interesting, yep.
The Austin Steamboat match that we watched.
Yep.
That's it. Those are your top 7 ever.
Yeah. And this was, I'm looking at this one, kind of coming from just how Vince at this time was starting to put on some more shows, having Survivor Series against Starrcade, kind of these different things. Big pile driver here coming, looks like. Yep. Oh, yep.
Like the referee in the microphone and asking if he wants to quit, and just I'm not a fan.
Like I said, I think there's a really big disconnect in just how it's done. I think, I get it. It's obviously these matches have worked over the years, but I feel like, there's just, just a weird kind of disconnect, which, getting in there and kind of seeing what happened here. Let's see here. I'm trying to figure out, a bunch of a bunch of different lists here for the top I Quit matches of all time. They're putting what do we got here? Ric Flair versus Mick Foley is number 3 on this list I'm looking at. John Cena and JBL as another one that was after not at WrestleMania 21 match, which was terrible, but and then this Rock and Mick Foley one, which have we covered it? I don't think we have, and so that one's going to have to get added to the list pretty soon here too.
Yeah, Foley was just talking about his podcast recently because they were talking about that Beyond the Mat documentary.
Yes, yep. So we're on the outside with these guys, of course, and so kind of both laid out a little bit here. Funk seems to be having a little bit more energy though, getting up. It is such an interesting setup. Look at even like the crane operator camera. You would never see any of that stuff nowadays.
Right?
He's handing the microphone to Funk, the referee.
What is that crane? Like where is that?
It's on the entryway. Like, yeah.
It must have come off the side, like it was on the side of the ramp or whatever, and then just
had to be, yeah.
Crazy.
I mean, I get it, but I don't. Yeah. So, yeah.
So 3 5-star matches for Terry Funk in his career. The other 2 were a tag match of Bruiser Brody and Stan Hansen against Dory, Funk, and Terry.
Okay.
And then Eddie Gilbert versus Terry Funk in a Texas death match.
Do you have the years on those in front of you as well?
Yeah, 92 was the Eddie Gilbert Texas death match. I don't even know where that took place. And then 84 on that tag match in All Japan Pro Wrestling.
So 84, and then this one, and then 92. So yeah. So even by the time you got to WWE, like these matches were way in the rearview mirror. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that stuff with Mick Foley was 98. ECW was like 97.
So there you go. You got Funker still kind of on the outside here working. He's kind of throwing Flair on a table.
You know what else would be fun to watch is Terry Funk did, and of course he's done multiple retirement matches, but he did a match versus Bret Hart in 97. It got 4 stars, but that'd be a fun match to go back and see because they did it in Amarillo, Texas.
I'm wondering too, like, I think Funk just retired again. I thought I just recently saw a news article about him again, like being back out there or something like that. And I'm looking at here, he's 78. And so he's just as old as Flair and out there still, I believe, still wrestling as well.
I think he's in a nursing home.
Is he?
Yeah.
We'll have to look this up.
Yeah. Well, I know. I mean, he's had some health issues. I don't know when. I mean, God, when was his last match? So I'll tell you, hold on. That can't be right. Cage Match is saying his last match was 2013.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, you're right. Okay, so it does look like he's having issues.
Yeah.
Okay.
The last match I have on record for him was 2017 in South.
I got Rock and Roll Express. Is that what you're seeing too as well? Yeah. So Rock and Roll Express taking Brian Christopher, Jerry Lawler, and Doug Gilbert. Yep. Okay. All right. So my bad. Sorry about that. All right. So, okay. Yep. And so, yeah. All right. So now again, Flair taking a little bit of an advantage here. You got the ref still holding that microphone, just kind of hanging out next to him.
So it looks like his last major match, like television, US, like, I mean, you know, what most of us would consider as, I mean, he wrestled at like Wrestle Kingdom in 2010, ECW One Night Stand in 2006, that main event. So there's some, a handful of matches.
So here's a fun one for you. I've got a statistic here. This is just, they're saying they're trying to figure out how many times Terry Funk has retired. And it says his first retirement match was a week before Braun Strowman, who is 38 years old, was born.
Okay.
And that was a year ago. So you figure over almost 40 years ago, he had his first wrestling retirement match. And yeah, we know that was not, him and Flair could probably have to compare notes pretty hard there to figure out just who has more retirement matches. It says, the official number of announced retirement matches is 8, but there have been a lot more. Yep.
Jeez.
Yeah, the match versus Bret Hart billed as 50 years of funk in 1997. So yeah.
Yeah, that'd be a fun one to watch. And I think
we'll definitely get that on our list.
He was champion at the time.
Yes.
Stomps on the leg. His leg is now being devastated by the nature law.
Flair's been working over the leg now for a couple minutes here. The ref just kind of holding the microphone. But I do like this. I like Flair ignoring it, kind of pacing around Funk. He's still working the angles on, to injure him. Like, I think they're actually really smart. And now they're battling up the walkway again. Yep.
You see how real this looks, though?
Yeah, I was just thinking that with the cop there. Yep.
Like I know it sounds like so hokey now, but it's like, do you realize why people actually thought this was legitimate back then? I mean, it just looks so it's just so gritty. The shit is just so polished and produced now.
It's just the term I was thinking of earlier, it's just no frills.
Yeah.
You got a ring. I see Coors Light as the sponsor on the ring post. There's nothing in the ring. Yep. I see there's it looks like a big piece of cardboard up in the rafters that's announcing, Clash of Champions, but that's it. And so, which I find that kind of interesting. But fans have also been really into this one, it looks like, as well, too, kind of losing their minds and kind of up and down. And you don't see that, or you see it still a little bit, but when they're up the ramp, the fans just screaming at them. And so great stuff. Yeah. Trying to lock in. Here we go. The figure 4 at this point. Funker fighting him off, though. That was nice, though. Yep. And so getting the upper hand again here.
That's made of wood.
Yeah, this is really harsh. Yep.
Oh.
Ooh, hello. Hardest part of the ring.
Yeah. The apron.
That was before it was the hardest part of the ring. Yeah. Like that.
I feel like that apron thing, what was that, maybe 3 or 4 years ago now, became a thing?
Yep, absolutely. Yep. See, I like the Funk acting I think this is starting to sell the Flair, and you don't see this as much anymore. Flair has been working the knee over for a few minutes now, and now he's got the figure 4 locked in.
That puts pressure on 5 different points. The pain is intense.
What's he going to get out of this?
Got the figure 4. How much?
Never.
You can hear him say never. Yeah, and we're liable to hear a leg snap, too. He's got that thing locked completely in. He's got it deep in there.
There you go. There's your winner, Ric Flair.
Interesting. Yeah. Had this figure 4 or locked in for about 3 minutes. Yeah. There's some I quit flag. You'll see that every day.
I know, right? Homemade I quit flag.
Yeah, homemade. Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll keep talking about this, but let's get to the aftermath.
Yep, absolutely.
Oh, it's time for the aftermath.
Well,
that was interesting. I enjoyed a lot of I enjoyed more of that than I thought I would.
It was a lot of fun.
We're still in the ring. You got Funk, Flair standing his hand, and Funk shaking it as well too. I thought how they did it was good. You got Flair attacking Gary Hart now after he laid out Funk, and I think that there was just a lot to like about that. There was far more It was better because there was more wrestling than I expected versus, like you said, I was the mic in the face, like constantly trying to get them to, respond to that. And so I thought this was really good. And that there was probably only, 3-4 times where the microphone was in their face. And so you just kind of let them wrestle. I think that was good. And then we used to say a lot more on the show, like going back to when, that time, and you figured for Flair to lock in the figure 4, that was a big deal. And so it makes a lot more sense. So, yeah.
So you got the Great Muta attacking Flair.
You got Sting in the ring too now. Yep. Flair and Sting kind of clean up shot. Here you go. The Sting locking in sharpshooter.
People going nuts for this, huh?
Wait a minute, there's Lex Luger. What's he doing here? Luger's getting a chair. Lex Luger reappearing on the scene. He's got a chair. He's got a beat up Sting.
Oh, yeah. Taking out Sting.
Luger going after Flair and Sting. So there you go. Just all chaos here.
Just brawling. Okay, yeah. So after this, like we said, you had Funk shaking Flair's hand, and then he got attacked. Funk did by by Jay Tex. You had Funk actually then becoming a color commentator for a while. He did have a little bit where he would interview stars. There was Funk's Grill, if you remember, that was a one as well too. And so he really left not too long after this one though. So while there was him involved and stuff like that, the feud more took on the shape of the stables. And so while Funk was gone, you had the Clash of Champions 10, where you had the 2 stables facing off. It was of course, the Horseman and Jay Tex. This is, of course, where turning on Sting as well too for not giving him a title shot. And so Jay Tex really didn't last too long after this one as well too. You had Flair kicking Sting out of the Horsemen, and them starting to feud as well. It was in mid 1990s where Flair dropped the title to Sting. You then had Flair regaining it from Sting in 1991. And so, a lot of players on this one, like I said, are kind of reviving feuds, just kind of Terry Funk, you're really a journeyman in a sense of just all these different promotions that he would be a part of and stuff like that. Very, highly regarded, of course, but it just kind of all over the place and doing all kinds of stuff. And so, really good. So this one, it kind of, talking about the reviews on this one, it kind of predated a lot of the longer written reviews on this one. And so you did have PWI this year that was only giving 10 names. And so you had Flair at number 2. Terry Funk was unranked, but you had the Torch giving this one an A. You had the Observer newsletter giving this a 5. I did find another little factoid, trying to bring some trivia back to the payoff as well too here, that this was Flair's 5th match of 1989 alone that got 5 stars or higher. He had a couple 6 matches in there as well. But of course, this being one of the 5, the other 4 were against all of the same wrestler. Tom, we've talked about him already today, but a stab at who the other matches were with Flair to earn 5 or more stars.
Ricky Steamboat.
Of course. And so, yes, 2 of those even getting some 6 stars.
Meltzer was handing out 5 stars forever, then stopped. And then he started handing them out all bunch all of a sudden. Yes.
And so Flair, of course, this year, 5 5-star matches. Like, I guess. And so, so this one, I get where you they're saying this is the cream of the crop. This was a 5-star, it was an A grade. Where are you putting this one?
It was good. I mean, I give me a 7, but I don't know. I had higher hopes for it. Again, I'm not a fan of the concept. Obviously, I made that clear, but just didn't do it for me. I thought there was going to be something more interesting than that. And I understand it's a little bit of the sign of the times. They work differently back then than they do now, but just didn't do it for me, man. What about you?
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm at a 7 as well. I think that we've got some Flair Steamboat coming up in the near future here. I think that, I'd be interested to see how those matches play out versus these match. I think that while good, and also we're going to do some Flair Sting as well too. Actually, to wrap out the year, we've got that match on our list as well. And so, I think that I'd be interested. I think maybe we need to be, as we're watching more of this, like maybe this was a 5-star match, like compared to other things that were going on out there. And so I would be interested, just as we continue to watch more of these matches from this time frame, that maybe hey, this is right where it needed to be. I know in a couple of weeks we got one that was even earlier than this one, and so just a different time. And so, but yeah, I'm with you. I think a couple 7s here from the payoff. That's what I'm feeling as well too.
Well, there you go.
So of course, getting the 10 here, our newer sponsor, if you will. Please don't forget True Classic Tees as well too. Tom and I wearing those as well, as you all know, like all kinds of different T-shirts out there. Don't buy the cheap stuff, especially nowadays. Like I was shopping for new jeans. I bought some new shirts, from these guys, a True Classic, to make sure that I've been losing some lbs, and so trying to kind of help myself out there and feeling a little bit better. And so finding something, especially I'm a taller guy. And so, finding something that fits well can be a little bit tougher. And so they had some great stuff out there as well too. So using our promo code, that is at True Classic Tees, you get 25% off from them. And so that's going to be payoff 25, anything over $100, you get free shipping as well too. So 25% off at trueclassic.com. Make sure you're using our promo code payoff 25. Of course, if you forget, we got there lots of on our social media every week as well too. You can catch the code out there as well too. Follow the link, all that good stuff. And so great stuff coming from the payoff. So whether it's Manscaped, whether it's True Classic Tees, whether it's watching Ric Flair and Terry Funk, we're trying to bring you the good stuff.
We sure are. Fun episode.
Yes. But this was fun. But next week is somehow we have gone this long and not talked about it. Next week should be one for the ages, as we are finally going to Montreal and talking 1997 Survivor Series.
Finally.
Yes, finally. Who would have thunk it took us this long? But here we are.
Look, I obviously in some ways that all's been beaten to death, but. Dude, I'm excited just to watch the match again and talk about it. And, for as much as we talk about everything outside of the match, I just want to watch the actual match and talk about how these two were in the ring together.
Yeah, and I found a few new things. I think we're going to try and bring some new things to the table as well too. So it should be exciting. And it's been a long time since I've watched it. We know a lot of it, but maybe we'll uncover something new. Who knows?
Good. Well, I'm pumped, man.
Send them home happy, my friend.
As always, thank you for joining us on The Payoff.